Thank you for being here and removing your time, of course, from your busy schedule and the effort to come here and share your life with our participants.
It's my privilege, really. The kind of work that Mr. Badri is doing and the kind of work that I'm doing, we are in a space where we need to be full of gratitude because we are able to come and share our insights because we too have received it from somewhere. So I would say it's a privilege. Thank you to everybody here to give us an opportunity to be able to share all of this.
So as we move, I'm always curious that how does one reach this kind of a success? Like how do you, where does your passion come from? What makes you do what you do? Like kind of. Because we're talking about passion since yesterday. That you find your passion and do what you love. What are your thoughts about that?
There's no one clear, easy mathematical formula for finding the passion in life. Isn't that we've all been given some mission from before we came here? We need to discover that. We need to figure out. And that is what happened with me. For quite some time I was like any other youngster, wanting to do things that everybody else was doing, just trying to follow the herd, follow the herd because we find safety in numbers, where we feel that everybody else is where we should also be. So it's kind of like a protection, an armor, but it's an illusion, of course. Because over time I began to realize that although I seem to be going to places where there is minimum risk, it's not leading me to any kind of fulfillment. So when I began to realize that, I began to listen to the inner voice, and obviously the voice wasn't clear because I didn't know how to listen. So it took me a while before I actually began to take those big risks and decisions. I've trained in marketing. I'm an MBA in marketing. I was working with the Times of India in their marketing department. And at some point in time, I worked with Midday and Zee Telefilms. And I wasn't happy, and I decided this is not what I'd like to do for the rest of my life. And so I started to question myself as to what exactly is it that I really want. And I can tell you, it took me quite some time to arrive at the first decision, which was to become a writer.
Okay.
And then on, there's another long story.
Since yesterday we are like talking about passion, and participants have this question that how do I find my passion? How do I connect? And as you correctly said that I didn't know how to kind of find my passion. It took some time, and then once I found it, the journey actually, you feel like the journey is just begun.
Yeah. So like I said, one of the things that I feel is very useful is to persist in questioning your own thoughts and know the source of those thoughts. Are they coming from you, within you, or are they coming from some sort of programming that has been fed to you, from the society and from your culture, from your country, from your friends? Because often that happens, and it gets mixed up. It's not very clear. So get mixed up, and we feel this is what we want, and then we realize that's not what we want. So this is what happened. I was pursuing my graduation, and I wanted to do something more constructive. I was pursuing economics, and so I started to work. And so I asked my elder sister to get me an opportunity to work. Now she also was with the Times of India, but she was in the response department. And so she found me a job through her contacts in an advertising agency. I was a young 18-year-old. I just went to an agency. I started working there. And, I enjoyed whatever I did there for a while. I began to understand how the media works, what's advertising all about. And in some time, when I graduated, I went along with my sister to one call. She used to do sales for Response. And I just saw her conducting her business. And when I saw her, what she was doing, I thought, this is something that I like. This is so easy. It looked very easy at that time. So I said, oh, this is very easy. I can do that. I think I have in me to persuade people, and sales is about persuasion. So let me, try my hand at it. So I requested her to help me out with another, job this time after graduation, full-time opportunity. And that's how I got into sales, and that's how I also pursued my marketing. I did my MBA in marketing. But over 2 or 3 years, 4 years, I began to realize that that's something that I don't like. I don't feel good about myself. So it's not always going to be very easy. The first thing that you learn and you listen and you get to know and you do it, and that's it. Your life is made. It's not that easy. For me, it took me around 6 to 7 years after graduation to make that switch. So, by that time, most of my friends were kind of set in their work. And for most of my friends and my peers, that's it. They were done for their life.
And what was your age?
Which means that I was 27.
27, okay.
And it was, they had made up their mind and they said, okay, this is what they're going to do. And for me, I still wasn't sure. Even though I had completed my marketing studies. I had a master's from University of Mumbai, and I wasn't sure. So here I was, at a crossroad. I had to make a decision whether to give up my qualification, my experience of 6 to 7 or 8 years, whatever, in media, and kind of, take the risk of letting go of that identity that I have created for myself, that I'm a marketing management professional and I'm good at sales. I don't like it anymore. I used to think I liked it. I'm allowed to make mistakes, right? But if I would have stuck to it, I think I would have been a mediocre marketing person. Maybe I would have succeeded because I'm, perceived to be more intelligent than most people, by others. But I think I wouldn't have been happy. And eventually that would have shown. Eventually, I'm not living to, keep up to an image that people expect of me. I'm living to fulfill the purpose. And I think when you get a calling from inside, that this is your purpose in life, this is what gives you meaning, then that's coming from somewhere beyond this realm. It's coming from, you may call it God, you may call it source, you may call it the universe. It's coming from there, and that's, I think, something that you need to learn to trust.
And that's connected to your true calling. I mean,
yes.
We say you find who you were born to be in our training,
Right.
Once you find who you are born to be, you can achieve anything you want. And again, we say it's not about the achievement, end result.
Exactly.
It's about the journey.
Exactly.
So,
absolutely. So I totally agree with you.
I mean, I'm sure that marketing and sales would have given you sustenance. Or when you talk about exponential growth, or we talk about, am I enjoying life? We said, are you alive and fearless? So being alive and fearless shows, right? It's like you cannot not show it. Meaning you're contributing to the society with what you're working, and you just love what you do, and it all comes out of service and contribution. Yes. I mean, putting up with something like this. I mean, I have no clue. Just to write an article kind of takes me like, so much time. He's like finding it, publishing it, and presenting it in a way. And he was kind enough to get samples for all of us. So you will get a first-hand look at the kind of quality and the concepts. And so one question that comes to me, and all of them also fear that, should I hold on to the security of the job and my academics, and I spend so much money and time in it, and then here you just suddenly decide or understand what my calling is. So it's a kind of a battle. What made you jump in, because there's fear, there's unknown, what caused the transformation?
The fear of the unknown is a misunderstanding. I mean, we always live only in the now, so you never know what's going to happen. Any of you know of people who are in secure jobs who were laid off?
Yep.
Who are asked to go. What kind of security is there in jobs in that case? If you can be asked to go from jobs, then it's just an illusion. We've created that thing. Smart people out there always make money work for them, and people who are not so smart are working for money. Eventually, that's what it turns out to be. So you have to ask that question. For me, it was It took 2 years. It's not going to be easy for you, that I can say. I mean, for some it might be. For me, it wasn't that easy. I took about 2 years to do that. But let me tell you what happened after that. So I was at a stage where I was, doing pretty well in my marketing. I started my own advertising agency by then. It was in those days, I'm talking about 1999, it was the lead, it was the very first internet-based advertising agency in India, and I could have had a great future if I had persisted, knowing how things turned out after 2002. But I wasn't happy because, there's something inside me that was saying that I have a gift and I need to share that with the world. And that was that I like to, articulate, I like to talk about experiences, and I was always a very deep thinker. So I would read a lot of books, and I thought, what's the point of reading such great books when I'm not able to share this? So I said, this is one thing I would like to do. I started to get a feeling that I need to write. It took me a year and a half to actually translate that into reality, and I then started to take decisions based on this new vision that I had, that I want to be a writer. I was still a marketing professional, and I looked for a job. And I found a job midday, and I grabbed it because I thought, when I get into midday, I'm going to try and do freelance writing because I'll have contacts. It's difficult to get into this kind of publishing business. Now it's easier because you have blogs and all, but 97, 98, you didn't have the concept of blogs, and it was more difficult to get published in mainline newspapers. If you really want to be taken seriously, you have to be published in mainline magazines and newspapers. So I thought, that would be my backdoor entry into writing, while I'll continue to do what I'm doing and what I know to do. So that's how it started. But so I enrolled myself for a course in writing, a creative writing course from London called the Writers Bureau, and the parcel never arrived.
Okay.
And I kept following up with them, and they said, we've dispatched and it's lost in transit, and every time they would send it, it did not arrive. So I was getting frustrated and I wanted to write. So I said, no, I don't know, I need to do something. Eventually I gave up the job of midday, and at that time the parcel arrived. But by that time I had already made up my mind, and I had given up everything, and I started writing, in the sense that I started approaching editorial coordinators of supplements and Times. And I would literally go and stand there and say, can you give me some work? And I would say, okay, why don't you write this article? They would pay me 500 rupees for that.
Okay.
I used to make 30,000-40,000 in those days from my business and other things. I was a consultant, and I was getting, say, 2 articles to write in a month. So my income went down from...
Man, that was challenging.
So, yeah, it was for a while, but I decided if this is what I have to do, I'd rather do it now than after 6 years or 10 years. So, and so I had to take the plunge. That's when I took the plunge. I started writing, but then that's the miraculous thing. Miracles happen. We may not be able to explain them scientifically right now, but they happen, and I am a firm believer that you should believe in miracles. If you're believing in miracles, you're realistic. If you're not, then you're not. It's not the other way.
Someone would question that. I mean, if you talk about miracles, they're like, in what
you're
land,
realistic.
What land are you meaning?
You're absolutely realistic if you believe, because there's so many things that are miraculous, and we take them for granted. Doesn't mean, the fact that a baby is born is a miracle. Nobody can explain how that happens. Right. There's conjecture, there's speculation, so much, but nobody can explain. It's a miracle. And every parent who has the baby in the hand knows it's a miracle. So, that's when you start to believe, and then you forget again. So it's a miracle.
Then life takes over.
Yeah, the life takes over. Life is nice, we shouldn't blame life. Life is good. The mind takes over, the conditioning takes over, the programming takes over.
We call that 5 people.
Yeah, so those 5 people take over.
5 people who condition your life, and that's why you become who you've become, and you're still struggling, and we say artificial and authentic.
Yes.
So authentic is what you're born to be, and then there's an artificial that the 5 people, give you, and you think the 5 people, the artificial that they gave you is you.
Exactly.
And that's why you're not, fulfilled, or you're happy, or you're enjoying the journey.
Yes.
So you found that, and then you kind of...
yes. So that's what happened, and then miracles began to happen. Things started to fall in place. And within 4 months of my freelance writing career, I found an opportunity that was something that people would really die for. But what happened was in 98, when I wanted to be a writer and I was not able to take that big decision, I was a marketing professional. and there was a sort of a supplement, a magazine called Strategic Marketing that arrived with the Economic Times, complimentary. And that was the first inaugural issue. And I was reading through the articles, and I read a few, and I said, I can write better than this. Why am I not writing?
Okay.
So, but you know, I was afraid of getting rejected, of whether I'll be able to really write, or you know, am I deluded? Am I thinking too much? These are published writers; they may be having experience. Now, all said and done, I finally, when I went and I met the editor of Strategic Marketing, and the magazine was really being bought out in arrangement with IIM Calcutta. My hopes went down because I said, oh, IIM Calcutta. She said, contact Dr. Ranjan Das, Professor Ranjan Das from IIM Calcutta. I said, first of all, he's in Calcutta, and secondly, if he's IIM, he's probably not going to look at me because I'm not from IIM. That's, you know, the perception that we have, and that's the perception I had. That's it. 2 years later, I began writing, and I found out through sources that Bhaskar Das, who was the director of the Response in those days, was looking for somebody who could write but had marketing, understanding of marketing. So I went and met him, and what was it for? It was for strategic marketing. So here I could see that, you know, my dreams coming true.
Alignment.
And I wanted to just contribute to that magazine, and here I am being considered to join the editorial team of strategic marketing. He wasn't sure whether I'm fit, but I think he saw that spark in me and that eagerness. I said, you know, give me an opportunity. I think I really do well because I want to do this. And he said, okay, I'm willing to try. And he started with me. And about 6 months' time, Professor Dr. Ranjan Das, who was the editor, consulting editor for strategic marketing, he had a heart attack. And he was out of action for 2 months. When he came back, he decided that he's going to take a back seat and he's going to allow me, because I have made some wonderful changes to the magazine that's really been appreciated by everybody in his absence, because till then it was him who was you know, in charge, and I could only execute. So from, you know, an experience of say about 6-8 articles, I went on to become the editorial in charge of strategic marketing within less than a year. Wow. And all of this was miraculous. I don't think I played a hand in it. Something beyond me, beyond, you know, understanding was helping me out.
Well,
it was just that you had to take that step.
We say you know, universe aligns. Your job is to show up.
Yeah.
You know? So you're like, hey, I'm here.
Absolutely.
You know, align, universe align, universe align. Passion and miracles, yeah, absolutely happen. And
yes. And so for the next 5 years, I was consulting editor for strategic marketing and another very profound journal called the General Management Review from the Economic Times. And so that's how it happened. And then passions changed. So the writing passion remained, but the passion for marketing was always, you know, doubt in my mind. So I wanted to get out of marketing as well. So I decided I'm going to leave that and, you know, do something else.
Right.
And so once again, things began to happen. I just need to think about it and then make a few decisions. And I started to become firm with them and say, either you do it this way or I'm going to leave. Okay. At some point in time, I decided, I mean, because things happen, Times of India sold the magazine to BBC. I became part of that new company called BBC Worldwide Media. And I stopped enjoying that, so I decided to make another decision, you know, switch.
Right.
And so that's how I landed up in another company called Gold Shield, where I launched a whole publishing business for them. And that was where I launched Complete Wellbeing magazine.
So you already had this, so you find your passion for writing, you begin the journey, you get this opportunity, you make a difference, and then with this, again, you're, you know, it kind of is a calling to another opportunity.
Yes.
And
the writing was just a method to do something more than, it was to reach out to people, to communicate. It could be done through writing, it could be done through any other medium, it could be done through speaking, like you're doing, for example. So you can't be rigid about that. You know, it can come to you, and then it can, you have to be fluid, and it keeps changing, so that so long as you know whatever makes you excited, and you know, makes you feel very inspired, makes you want to get up early morning and do something. I think that's really what
makes you
what
jump
it is.
out of your bed and say, hey, wow, you know, one more day, let's
exactly, yeah. I mean, happy to be alive.
Happy to be alive.
Happy to be alive.
Happy to be alive. I didn't say that, by the way, to him. Huh? I mean, when we say being alive and fearless, our first point is being happy to be
Absolutely,
alive.
yeah.
You know, thank God.
But it's
for one more
basic, so
day.
I guess you don't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
But I think they'll also connect with it because
Right.
unless you're happy to be alive, why are you alive?
Now we just say you're just breathing, right?
Exactly.
We say you're just a breathing, you know, human being, a biological being waiting to die.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
because we know, I mean, life takes over, we have complaints, we're cribbing about things, we're not appreciative, and it's so negativity around us that, you know, life just loses purpose, and, you know, we just survive, it's just survival, you know. And
Yeah, that's right.
our hope is that people find their calling and believe, like you shared, and many others. We've been, you know, talking about a lot of people like Steve Jobs and you know, Bill Gates and other people who have truly found their passion and they've contributed, you know, to the society. And we say that all of us over here sitting here have a passion. You know, you're born to be something. It's just that you need to discover or uncover, you know, clean up the social conditioning and, you know, listen to your heart and just jump, you know. It's always a jump.
It is.
Meaning when I came into this field of personal development, it is always a jump, and all that makes you jump is you believe yourself, you believe the creator, and things evolve, you know. I don't know if you even thought of that I'm going to get complete well-being or this opportunity in this, you know, business to manage the entire thing,
No,
but,
and that's
yeah.
a mistake. If you try to plan too ahead,
Absolutely.
then things are going to, you know, it's like, there's an old joke, I think, that says that if you want to make God laugh, share your plans with him. You know, because, yeah, I mean, if you want to make God laugh and, you know,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
God will laugh at your plans because, you know, you're so personally focused. I just wrote about it in this latest issue that we are so personally focused. For me, it's all about me, you know.
Yeah.
So if it rains on a day I don't want it to rain, why is it raining today? I mean, rains. I mean, come on. I'm so personally focused, isn't it? Everything is about me. But we are not really, I mean, I am important, but I cannot derive my importance from my own self. My importance happens because there are so many others. I am a cog in the wheel. The cog cannot become more important than the whole wheel, but the cog is equally important.
Yeah.
So I am very important, but I cannot derive that importance from this. So that's the point. So I need to think about that. I need to know that there is something that, you know, I can contribute meaningfully, and it need not be huge. So on the one hand, that when I give examples, I also use examples of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. But I also, on the other hand, make a point to, you know, let people know that Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Narayan Murthy, these guys are big. Dhirubhai Ambani, very, very big. But that's it. I mean, don't look at the size. Those are easily accessible examples. They can be related to commonly, so we use it.
Right.
But your success isn't about how big you get and, you know, how famous you get, or how your success is about how happy you are on a daily basis. If you are happy to be alive in the morning, then you are successful. But if you have a concept in mind about success, which is, you know, if I get this, then I will be successful. That's the reason why planning is a mistake. Vision, not a mistake.
Right.
Missions, not a mistake. I want to get there somewhere.
Right.
I know I need to trust, you know, that the way will come.
The creator. Yeah.
I need to take the first few steps. That's it. They take care of the minutes, and the hours will take care of themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Something like that. I need to do that. And that's what, whenever I have tried to go against that, and we all do, let me tell you, I have done that too. Every time the outcome hasn't been, even if the outcome is as expected, the journey has been terrible. What's the point?
Because you're not going with the flow of the universe, you know. Sometimes the opportunity comes, universe wants you to not go against the stream, but, you know, if you go with the stream,
Yes.
and we say, no, I think it's too difficult, or I freak out, fear is stopping me, and I want to do something else, I'm stubborn, or whatever you call it, and it's not fitting in my plan. So we say God is giving you, you know, these signs, sending you someone with an opportunity, saying, hey, it's time to, you know, transform, it's time to change. And we don't take that, and we're actually trying to go uphill, opposite the stream of life, and that's where we are like, why is life so, you know, difficult? And we see a lot of people, it's not that you've not, you know, faced challenge or difficulties.
Oh, of course I have, and I continue to. I mean, after I launched the magazine, so I was on one hand fulfilling my dharma or my, you know, my purpose or whatever. On the other hand, I was terrible. I mean, I couldn't manage the magazine properly. I mean, it was a completely new business. I was trying to do something very ethical in an industry that doesn't know what ethics means. So in my magazine, I'm at cross purposes. So I have great challenges, but I don't give it up. Thinking that, these are the challenges that are probably, it's like Rumi says, if you get irritated with every rub, how are you going to get polished?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If I get irritated by every rub, then that's it. I mean, it's over, finished. So when rubs happen, you need to keep thinking that you're getting polished somewhere. And that moment, that's what you need.
Irritated with rubs, right?
You can't, I mean, maybe you at that moment you do, but you keep needing to get back into, each time. And there's a nice method to do that, a very ancient method. Every time you find yourself thinking stressful thoughts, just start focusing on your breath, because breath is in the now. Stress is either in the past or in the future. It cannot be in the now. It's not possible. When you're in the now, there's no time. Time is only in the past or the future. The now is not in time. The now is now. And if you understand that concept, just bring your breath back. Can you breathe in the past? Can you breathe in the future? You can only breathe in the present. Your body knows only one thing, the now. It's the mind that takes you elsewhere. It makes you think stressful thoughts, it makes you feel guilty about the past, it makes you anxious about the future. We all go through that. But and that's because of the 5 P's, I guess, because we've been conditioned. So we carry these kind of things in my magazine as well. And we had a cover story called it was on mindfulness, and we said the headline was caution, you're on autopilot.
Okay, all right.
Caution, you're on autopilot, because we are running on autopilot. We don't absolutely know where we're going.
And we think that we control our lives.
We think, that's a grand illusion. That's a grand illusion. That we would like to control. That's a fact. The ego will say that I like to have everything go as per my wishes and my desires. Where we are forgetting that we are part of that whole thing. We're forgetting that we are part of the whole.
And what we always, I've always spoken this to my participants, that you want to grow. I mean, everybody wants to grow, learn. I want to be happy. I want more money, or what money can do for me. Again, an illusion. But when it comes to the rubber meeting the road, like you mentioned, rubbing, and God says, okay, great, you want to grow as a better person. How are you going to grow? So, it's like, all right, let me give you a difficult situation, a difficult person in your life, some challenges through which, if you can overcome, you will grow what you want.
Yes.
So we're saying God is actually giving you exactly what you want. It is only that we don't want to take action. So sometimes, now I don't want this, I want something else. So God's saying, okay, fine, I'll give you that also. But when He sends those people, things, opportunities, you're like, no, I don't want this, now I want something else. Or I want, the intensity should be a little low, I'm not ready, or,
True.
God, please don't torture me, And we always say that you always get challenges that will allow you to grow.
Yes.
Never, it's not the intention of the universe to break you down, or make you angry, or make you just survive. And
see, there are many concepts here, and most of these things are concepts and nothing more than that. So when we think about a challenge, it's again a concept. What is a challenge? It's a resistance to the now. I'm saying I don't want this to whatever is happening is something I don't like. So what you're doing is putting your energies in what you don't like. Some of the virtues of people who really succeed are people succeed in the real sense, not just in terms of money, but in real sense, including money. Are people who have sort of come to terms with this rubbing, and they begin to accept. So acceptance is, think that, okay, things are going to get wrong. Right. And I need to be ready for things going wrong. That does not reflect on either me or the state of the world. This is how it is. There's this old story of this saint called Ramana Maharishi. I don't know if you've heard of him. Somebody asked him, why is there so much misery in the world? I think, was it Ramana? I'm not sure who it was. Why is there so much misery and so much unhappiness in the world? Why is there so much this? And his answer was, very, very succinct but very profound. I think it's the most profound answer. He said to thicken the plot.
Okay.
To thicken the plot. You know.
And why?
I mean, you know, why? Because just imagine you're reading a book which starts and ends with absolutely no
Nothing,
conflict.
yeah,
Are you going
yeah.
to read it?
Absolutely.
Are you going to watch a movie in which there's no conflict?
Yeah.
When I was doing my writing course, the first thing that I learned was the very especially in storybooks, okay, in fiction. As soon as you can introduce conflict, the better for you. You need to introduce conflict. Somebody wants something, he's not going to get it. That's the core idea of any story, any fiction. You want something, somebody else is trying to not make you happen. You know, he's trying to create problems for you. Or there is some problem which you need to overcome. Every story is about, you know, conflict and resolution, conflict and resolution, conflict and resolution. If you have no conflict, you have no story. If you have no story,
there's no purpose of your life.
You're dead. I mean, you may be breathing, but you're really effectively dead.
We say that problems just make you stay alive. You know, they keep you busy, they stay alive. And there are some people who are like, no, I don't want problems in my life. We said, great, that will happen when you die. You know,
no, I like
all the
that,
problems are going to end.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I like the example, the analogy. Say that, you know, in the Hindu scriptures, in the Ramayana, you have Ram, Lord Ram, and you have Ravan. Take Ravan out of Ramayana, and Ram's greatness will completely shrink.
Absolutely. Yes.
What's Ram without Ravan?
Absolutely.
So you have to be equally grateful to Ravan, because Ravan brought out the Rama. Otherwise, there was no Rama.
Yeah. Perfect. Absolutely.
I mean, if you can accept that and realize that God, if you really trust that universal intelligence, obviously, if you say it's universal intelligence, God isn't stupid to send something which is not good for you, if you trust Him.
If you trust.
If you trust. You call it intelligence, but you think that He's so stupid that He's going to, he, she, whatever you call it. I mean, I don't want to get, because we don't define God, you know, it's very difficult to define God.
Right.
It's something beyond, it's, you know, beyond description. The moment you utter, if you try to explain to it, assign any kind of definition. No, the moment you define it, it gets restricted, because by definition, anything that can be defined means there is a limitation. And God is not, it's infinite, eternal, you know, all pervasive, everything that exists and everything that doesn't exist. If that is the case, how do I define God? So that's something we will not do. But what we are trying to say is that if you do know that there is some greater intelligence that makes the sun rise every morning, you don't do anything to make the sun rise. Everything works perfectly. Thousands of years it's happening, you know, crops grow, you eat food, you don't even think, you eat a banana and gets digested. Do you really say, I intend the banana to get digested today, and so it'll digest? It's so perfect and so beautiful. It's just perfectly doing what it's supposed to do. Your body is a fantastic, you know, miracle. Every time you stop trusting the universe, come back to your body and say, wow, how is all this working? I'm not even thinking about it. In fact, good you're not thinking about it, because if you start thinking, even that will stop working. You know, it's good that we don't think about the body.
I put so much crap in my body and the body takes care of it, right?
Exactly.
And I put so much crap in my mind and still I'm sustaining. Because the stress is, of course, the body is absorbing all the stress.
Yes.
And you know, you get hypertension or blood pressure and so on and so forth. And you know, yes, I mean, the brain, the body, it has a self-healing mechanism. And as you said, life is to live, not to prepare to live. You know, or not like, I don't want what I have. I want someone else's life. It's again an illusion, you know. Man, that guy's life is so awesome. And when we say, why don't you go and ask that person how his life is? He'll say that, hey, you know, I have the
So there was this amazing story that was done by shamans of the past, of maybe thousands of years ago. That there was a tree, and there was a group of people, and they say, all right, everybody who has all your problems, your most difficult challenges, the ones that you don't really like and would like to get rid of, write it down and hang it on that tree. Okay. Everybody does that, okay? Everybody does that. Now, go and pick up somebody else's problems, a list of their problems. Everybody goes back to their own problems because nobody wants to take the other ones because they don't know what you will get. It's better to have familiar problems. I don't even know what the problems of that other guy is. So better be careful of what you pray for because you want to get that guy's life, you don't know what else you'll get along with it.
Yeah, it might be more horrific than yours.
Yeah, and then you want to, reverse it, which will not happen.
Which will not happen. God will say you just have one choice. You want this guy's life. And then suddenly you come back to your life and you say, my life is good, and I would not trade it for anything. Your struggles in your life, I mean, you went through whatever you went through, down times, I'm sure, and the up times. And if I ask you, I mean, what made you come out of those down times, the struggles, did you feel like quitting anytime? Meaning, let me go back to my job and cozy, the income and the sustenance and...
One thing I have never felt like doing is go back to a job.
Okay.
Because I think I'm basically not fit for that kind. Because I realize that if I go for a job, I need to do things that I'm not very happy doing, and typically majority. I wouldn't like to overgeneralize here, but most businesses don't have a soul. They don't have that, so they don't really necessarily. Meaning, I'm talking about large businesses where you get employed. Yeah. So for them, stakeholders, profit, all of those things become more important, and customers and employees. They are like they give lip service to all of this. And I suffocate in this kind of environment. So one of the reasons why I wanted to get out of that was because I felt that I'm a square peg in a round hole. I'd like to, be out there and create my own work, And so without condemning all of this is happening, and it's even giving me an opportunity because there is so much confusion in the world. People like him and me are employed. If everybody was clear, then I think you and I would be doing something else, right? So I have to always, that's why I say that you have to always look at the other side and say, thank you, Ravan, because of you I became Ram. So each of I'm giving examples that I understand, okay? So you'll probably have to relate it to your own life experiences. That is what you need to do. You need to keep looking at what your enemy is and say, thank you, the enemy. And enemy is not in terms of the person. It's in terms of circumstances, situations which you think they are actually meant to bring out the best in you.
Difficult people also, meaning, we always say, when you face a difficult person in your life, family, in-laws, customer, partner, employee, you say time to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna, make sure that I gel with this person, even though whoever he is, because that allows me to grow to a level who can kind of gel with anybody. I mean, I'm not judgmental. I just love people, who they are, how they are, whatever they are, and I'm a better person at my work, my, personal life, my work life. And
see, most of the time, again, if we are able to remove the personal focus, we'll be able to view everybody a lot more tolerantly, tolerantly. Like there is this quote that I have in my book by Khalil Gibran, and he says, I have learned tolerance from the intolerant. I have learned patience from the impatient. And yet, how ungrateful I am to these teachers. He's reflecting, and it's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
How else will you learn about patience, tolerance? How else will you learn about peace if there is no violence or no, anger? You learn from because opposites will define each other. They're there so that you get a better experience of this. And this is something that is there throughout our life. And inspiration, you were asking me how I kept, I think every time I have been down in the dumps, the only thing that keeps me running is when I look at life itself. And I feel it's so glorious. And what am I doing? Thinking about my petty self. Yeah. That's what we are when we start thinking about how unlucky I am, self-pity, all that. And really, when you think of, you just detach yourself and think about it this way, you'll realize that, this universe is glorious. Everything is so beautiful. And everywhere there is an opportunity, and everywhere there are going to be possibilities of things not going your way. But if you're completely prepared for it right from the beginning, they are not going to surprise you. If I tell you the end of the story in a movie, a suspense movie, it's not going to really trouble you very much. The anxiety levels will come down immediately. I know who the murderer is. Okay, so That's it. In a way, it's like that. At the end, everything goes fine. If you trust this universal intelligence, then nobody goes home sad. After that, wherever you go and merge with the source. And, whether you call that God, or you call that Allah, you call that Ishwar, you call that whatever, I think, it's very large-hearted.
Absolutely. And
everything is perfect.
Whenever, I always give an example that whenever you're on the deathbed, and you gave an example of a story, thickening the plot. We say when you're on the deathbed and when everybody is going to look at their life. Of course, if you get the time to look at your life again. So when you reflect, what kind of story do have you lived? Was it like an interesting journey full of adventure, ups and downs, or do you just want a flat line? Like he said, when everything was so superb, given to you on a platter, a golden platter. I mean, what is the adventure? So at one point, we say, I don't want to get bored, like Tony Robbins mentions. You need variety in your life. But if too much certainty, if everything is just certain and you know what is going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, you will get bored to death. So you also want certainty, but at the same time you want uncertainty, which is variety. So you go, sometimes some people just go and screw up their life just to get more variety, right? I mean, it can't be so well, so let me go and do something stupid, right? So again, the need for the variety and the passion to keep going. And I think if everything that is naturally happening to us, and I say it's time to grow, it's time to learn, it's time to overcome, then you just enjoying the journey, and it's just awesome and effortless kind of.
Key word there is balance.
Balance.
So you can't really. You need to strike the middle path and look for it, and the word balance is very large. But again, it's only a very rough concept. It's for each individual it will be different. You need to take that thing, and you shouldn't be looking to anybody else, including him or me or anybody else for that matter, to find that out for you. What's the right balance for you? What's your real purpose? What is it that's going to keep you feel really alive? And that's the real right word. I like the word alive. I don't like the word purpose and meaning a lot, because there's some weightage attached to it. Purpose seems very heavy, right? I mean, I was reading something the other day and I said it was really lovely. I said the meaning of life is to find your gift.
Okay.
And the purpose of life is to give it away.
Okay.
Yeah. These
find meaning and then fulfill the purpose.
Give it away. Give it away meaning it's always going to be about serving others. In some or the other way, let me tell you, there's one universal fact is that you cannot live alone in isolation. Whenever you find a purpose, I think somewhere you will find that your purpose, a real purpose that will give you excitement and feeling of aliveness, will be with respect to how you are serving your people, your environment, your world. In some way, you will do that. That could be anything. It could be that you are a financial consultant. It could be that you are, a doctor. It could be that you just have a kirana ka store. That's all right. That's okay. But you will find a purpose in serving some way. Not thinking what is in it for me, but in what way can I help others. And then things will come.
And do your best.
And do your best.
And enjoy the process.
You will enjoy it, right? Because you have found that meaning and purpose, and you are going to enjoy it. It's so important to enjoy.
There are times when we also mention that it is your, duty, or a little heavier word, obligation, that if you know or you have found your passion, it is your moral obligation to give to the universe, to the community, to the society what you are passionate about.
Yes.
So the other day I was in a business seminar and I found a person who's passionate about birds.
Birds, okay.
He's done his academics in automotive. He's sitting in his father's shop and passionate about birds, electrical shop, and not running very well. So I tell him that, what do you do to expand your shop, and do you do research? He's like, I'm doing research. I'm sitting at the shop and on Google. So what do you research about? And he says, birds. And I'm like, there were like 20, 25 people, and I said, I mean, you love birds, it shows, it's showing. And he's like, yeah, I'm up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I'm researching about different species, and I asked him a couple of questions, and he's like, this bird is this much, and this cost, and you get this pair and that pair, and how do you feed him, and how do you, and he's got 10 pairs at home.
Wow.
And I asked everybody, how many of you would like love to have a pair of birds in your place? And like 80% is, I would like to have, and you know, for some or the other reason, my kid wanted, I wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, why don't you have? And the answer was, we haven't found somebody who can guide us
Right.
to buy this bird. And I mean, where do we go? We just don't want to go to somewhere and they just give me a cage. Then go somewhere, they give us birds, and who's gonna? And I'm looking at this guy, man, you've got a huge market.
Right.
Write a book about birds, consult about birds, help people get birds, you know. And then it starts an argument with me, no, but it's not a business, it's how do I convert it into, you know, income? And I'm like, so again, you know, finding your passion and delivering that to the universe is, I feel, you know, what gives you happiness. And sometimes there is income, sometimes there is not, sometimes there is huge income, sometimes there is no income, but it doesn't matter, right?
You know, one thing that reminds me, I was told by well-meaning adults surrounded, you know, I was surrounded by well-meaning adults. We are all, right? You know, your parents, your elder brothers, your this. One well-meaning advice I received was that you need to be practical. And over the last few years, I've realized that somehow happiness is not practical. So if you are practical, then give up any great hopes of being happy. All that you really need to do is to find what makes you happy. I think that itself is practical. Your job isn't to run a successful business. Your job is to be happy. And if what you do is going to be happy, you know, make you happy, whatever you do will be successful, because you will put in so much more in that particular business. You know, you will not be working anymore. It will become play for you. And do you ever get tired or stressed about play? You never get tired and stressed about play. It's so much fun. The fact that you are stressed means that you're working. And if you're working, that means you're not really playing. You're not really doing what you really love doing. You have to make that distinction in your own mind. What's play for you? What's it that you really enjoy doing and what you love to do, even if people pay you less for it? I wouldn't go and to the extent saying that people, you know, you'll do it free for them, because that's not practical at all, right? But think about it. What is it that you'll do and you're getting paid for it? And you do so much well, you know, you'll put your heart and soul into it, and you'll start doing. I mean, all of these people, Steve Jobs and all, they did not really think about the money first. They got into it because they just loved, they were so crazy about computers. They wanted to do something totally, you know, which was what they loved. They loved. And that is how they became so successful.
And it's truly effortless, right? We always say, when you found your passion, people tell me, you listen to people's problem and relationship, and I mean, we are already surrounded with so much more. Why do you want to do that? If people who can't align with certain careers. And I'm like, man, I love listening, helping people transform their life.
Yes.
So it's effort for you, because you can't even figure out your own problems. It is, you know, it's passion for me. It just comes naturally. And if it comes naturally, I need to do it more. And the more I do it, the more I can contribute. And so again, there's a myth, there's an argument that, okay, if you do your passion, there's not enough sustenance, practicality, income, and I have bills to pay. And at the end we say that, you know, the founders of WhatsApp really did not think practicality, or, you know, we're going to sell it in like Indian 1,20,000 crore, and it really doesn't matter to them, because what matters is they are happy to be alive, getting up, going to their passion, doing what they do best, and then leaving the rest to the, you know, creator to, you know, just evolve and show me the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many people who've done things that are really not practical. I mean, if you really go WhatsApp, Facebook, Google, all of this was not practical. You know, nothing was practical. It's not possible. I mean, if you go back and say, let's plan to make a Google, it's not possible.
Right.
You know, but just imagine 15 years ago, there wasn't any Google. And today I came here looking for directions. I needed to find the Eastern Freeway because I had not taken that. And I used Google. 15 years ago, there was no Google. Look at the way Google has entered our lives today. You can't really think about life without Google. You can't even think life without a mobile phone. Where were they 20 years ago? You know, these things, look at the way that things change and the way explosions happen in terms of how our lives changes. All of this happens because there are few people out there who don't take no for an answer. They say, forget it. I mean, they don't even think, they don't even consult. They're just so focused, they can't see the hurdles.
Yeah.
They can't see it because they just love what they're doing and so they just want to do it.
They just want to do it, yeah. I still remember the first session when I started and there were people around. I've also done sessions with two participants. And I've always seen people when they're struggling, it always begins, but it's not like, oh, I got two people. I'm saying, yeah, 2 will become 10, 10 will become 15, 30, and eventually it'll grow. And I just want to be in this process and give whatever best I can. And people show you hurdles. Hey, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? And I'm like, if it happens and if I can see it, then it happens. And I'll see what I need to do at that time,
Yes.
It's not happened yet. But please pray it doesn't happen, kind of. And if it has to happen, it'll happen.
Yes. Mark Twain once said that, you should be careful about whom you associate with.
Yeah.
Keep away from people who belittle your ambitions. Small people will always do that, he said. The truly great people will make you see and show that you too can be great. If
That
you
is
want
the
to know
sign
the
of their
sign of
greatness.
greatness,
Yep, that is the sign of
then
the greatness. Yeah.
they are going to show you that you can be great. And if you meet somebody who says, are you sure, can you do that? They create doubts in your mind. Don't be very sure of what their intentions are, however well-meaning they may come to be.
Yeah, we say they love you. They say that, okay, I love you, that's why I'm saying this to you. But again, don't you? At a subconscious level, they don't really know what they're doing. Right.
They may outwardly have the right intention for you, but they're projecting their own fears, their own fears and own doubts on you. And then you internalize them and you take them as yours. Most people in my school, if they meet me today, they cannot believe that I'm a writer who has published a book and has more than 1,000 articles. And I don't think anybody can even believe that. Because I wasn't known to be that kind of a person in my school. In my school.
In your school, yeah.
I wasn't known to be a writer. Sitting writing poetry and getting into books and reading constantly. I mean, I was a regular guy. I used to write well even in school. I was, my scores in English were good. But that's it. I mean, there are so many others who are better than me. Nobody would have thought. Even I didn't. Even I didn't.
Yep.
But the point is that if I would have gone and consulted any of them, should I have become a writer? Or anybody else who knows me? I had no background, I had no qualification in journalism, I had nothing behind me. The course didn't arrive
on time.
Nothing went as per plan, but I had to become a writer. And I became one. And now when I go back and read some of the stuff that I've written, I'm surprised at myself.
Yeah.
Truly. And writing is something that, for me it's a magical thing, because when I sit and start to write, something comes in and begins to write. I don't write. Something comes in and begins to write. I get ideas and I start writing. If I'm in that space, and sometimes I'm like, once it happened, I was thinking about what theme to do for the magazine. And, there was Easter around the corner. And Easter is about Christianity and about Jesus Christ coming back from, resurrection happens, So I thought, why not have a theme about bouncing back? Because people have this, thing that they get crucified by life. And then they want to come back and they don't have this because, like how it happens with everybody. It happens with the best of us. It happened with Amitabh Bachchan. Yeah. Just imagine where he was, down in the dumps. People thought he's, gone, finished, written off. And look at the way he bounced back. Now I wanted Amitabh Bachchan for the interview. Now previously, for the last 6 issues before that, for the magazine, I had people Sachin Tendulkar on the cover. Then I had Shah Rukh Khan on the cover. Then I had Akshay Kumar. So I had all these celebrities. And for bouncing back, I needed a celebrity. I wanted Amitabh Bachchan. Amitabh Bachchan was to come, but it was to come in May. Easter was in April.
Okay.
So now what do? Suddenly something came to me. And I said, why not I do a fictional interview instead of doing a real interview with Jesus Christ? Fictional interview, fine. I mean, my readers will understand it's fiction. Okay, all right. So I thought I'll do it, and maybe I shared with the team saying maybe we should do that and all. We just left it that. Next morning I wake up and I suddenly get some sort of an inspiration, go sit on the computer, 35 minutes flat, I remove some sort of a thing, and I have created an interview, a fictional interview. And now I don't even know whether to call it fictional. Because I actually felt like I had a dialogue with him. Now I'm not a Catholic. So people started asking me later, as you will understand, how come you had an interview with Jesus? What authority do you have to talk to Jesus? People have that absurd but I had, that's right. So it happened to me, and I mean, and suddenly I sat down, and within 35 minutes I wrote the first question. And after that I wrote the last line. I did not know how it happened, and I was so fast, I wasn't able to control my fingers. I just wanted to write because it was coming so fast to me. Now I have very little knowledge about the Bible, very little knowledge, but I somehow just got the right essence. And when finally it got published as a cover story, I did not one single person from the world ever came and told me this interview is not accurate. People came and told me this is fantastic. You have captured the essence of Jesus. How?
Yeah, you're surprised by your own achievements.
Exactly. And it was beautiful. I sometimes even go back to reading it now, and I'm like, how did I write this?
Did I write this actually?
Yeah, did I even write this?
Jesus come and
you become an instrument. You become an instrument. You become an instrument of some sort of higher purpose, and it's available to all of us. Most of the time, even I'm not. I would rather say that is available to us, but whether we are available to it. The problem is we are not available to it.
Or whether we want to stand in its way or not.
Yes.
That life gives us opportunity. The only person standing in its way is.
Yeah, I have a board like this, by the way. On my softboard I had put, get out of your way.
Get your artificial out, right? We said, get the authentic in. Let's give it a little more trust. Yes. And when people do embark on this journey, I mean, and as we are in the now, and we are going, and we're going, and we're going, and we're doing things, crazy things, impossible things, and like you said, when you go back and reflect, you think, how did I get through that? I really don't know. But in that now, that you have the passion to keep going, it just kind of happens.
Yes.
And it is our true desire and want that everybody find their passion and pursue it. I'm like a guy, very interesting in this business seminar. We go there, and there's one person who shares with Murza after the program. He's like, the program was absolutely good, but can we just reduce that passion part? He talks a lot about passion, and he's like, I mean, everything revolves around passion. I mean, your whole life is about what you love doing, and if you can't find what you love doing, then you're just in your own way.
Yes.
You're creating more friction, and if you don't love your work, you're going to work, you're actually creating more friction for other employees, the boss, everyone.
Yes. Yeah, but so most of the time we think about passion and we think about loving what we do only in terms of what we do for a living, which means what makes us money. Isn't it? But once again, there's another quote in my book which says that, Albert Schweitzer, he says that, happiness does not come from success. You are successful when you're happy. So the essence is that you become happy in what you love doing, and then the success will follow you. But then we have to understand the essence of the core of it. You could be very well, I mean, most people here, I don't see, they may be working, but you could be very well, very happy being a housewife. But you could be a great, very, very successful housewife. The word is very misleading. A housewife is an enormous responsibility. And if that is what somebody's passion is, I like taking care of my house, my husband, my children. I'm giving an example from the from this side, because very often that is taken as something that's very easy and it's taken for granted. We often take for granted the idea of being a housewife, and how you can't be passionate about being a housewife, but that's not true. You can be passionate about being a mother, being a housewife, or you can be passionate about anything that doesn't necessarily make you money. So yes, you need to bring that part in your work, because you spend so much more time doing what you do just to make money. But there are other aspects which are not related to living your life or earning money. There also you need to align. It's not that you do everything great that you love doing in your work, and after that you go home and you're like totally unhappy. It's not going to work. You need to find that alignment and that space of being happy wherever you are. You can't escape that. So you escape and go to work and you're happy there, come back home and unhappy for whatever reason. Eventually you're not successful. How much ever money you make.
Like
how much ever money you make, whatever power you get, you become Narendra Modi, you become this one, Obama. And nothing is going to get you the feeling of success if you're not happy.
So how would you sum, if you have to tell them what is your mantra or the mantra of success, and how do you define success? Of course, what is your experience there? If you want to be successful, what are the 5 most important things that you need to remember or do?
5 most important, I don't know, because there are not,
I
have any such list, but I can only say, because I don't believe in any formulas as such. I don't think that I can give you anything that, what works for me will not be the same as what works for you. But there are some basics, there's offer no resistance, which is, learn to accept, look for opportunities. They're everywhere around you. In fact, inspiration is all around you. Life itself is an inspiration, provided you choose to focus your spotlight on where you want to focus it. Spotlight is a very nice word. I always like it, because have you seen the spotlight? If it's dark and you watch a theater, the spotlight is very sharply focused, and nothing else is seen except what the spotlight wants to show you. We all have a spotlight inside of us. It's called our attention. Where is your attention? If most of your time your attention is on your problems, be sure that is going to grow, because attention is the fodder for your life and your circumstances. If you're going to focus your spotlight on what's good, there are going to be bad things. I give an example. If you have diabetes, if you have some health problem, diabetes, let's say, what will you do? You will consult a doctor, you will take the medicine, you will do what is required to do, which is, exercise, avoid foods that are known to be harmful to diabetes, and then move on and focus your spotlight on all the other beautiful parts of your body that are working well. Or are you going to go and tell everybody, I have diabetes, I can't eat, I'm so unhappy, and my life is wasted, I love sweets and now I can't have sweets. That's it. So your whole focus and your attention is now what is not working. But you've forgotten that there's so many beautiful things that are working, and that's just about your body. The same applies to life. Extrapolate it to your life. Something's not working. Let's say your relationship is not working, and I don't by no way want to make this whole relationship business small. It's very, very important. But the rest of your life probably is working. You need to focus on that as well. Need to keep counting your blessings while doing whatever you can to improve the situation that is not good. If your work is not good, if your health is not good, if your relationships are not good, whatever is not good, not working for you at that point in time, do what you can, and then move on. Don't get stuck with it and say adamantly, insistently that unless this becomes okay, nothing else is of any importance. That's not true. There's so many beautiful things that are working. So in my case, if you ask me, there's this, I like to sort of summarize it in one lovely story, and I guess you may have probably heard it. It's an old, ancient Indian American tale, a Cherokee. Cherokee was, old Cherokee was sitting with his grandson, and he was reflecting, and he told his grandson that 2 wolves are barking inside me. 2 wolves are barking inside me. One wolf is angry, full of hatred, full of revenge, full of fear, and all of those negative things. And the other wolf is peace, love, joy, forgiveness. So the grandson looking at this grandfather and asking him, so grandpa, which wolf do you think will win? And he says, whichever one I feed. If you want to feed fear, it's going to win. But if the good news is you can starve that wolf to death. Just starve it to death. It's there. It's not an illusion. For you, fear is there. Fear might be an illusion at a very, very great, grand, broad perspective. But for you, the fear is real. For you, the anxiety is real. But starve it. Now, why do you want to give it too much attention? Question your thought at that time, move on and say what you can do about it, rather than, don't be against your fear, but be for opportunities. It's not the small difference. It's a very big difference. You can be against illiteracy and take out morchas, or you can go and actually educate a child. What's better? Do something about it. You made some difference. You've gone ahead and did. Mother Teresa didn't go out and preach about poverty removal. She went and she started working with them. She would go do things. You see people who are really, in the thick of action. They are not going to think. They are not going to discuss. They are not going to contemplate. The moment the inspiration arises, go ahead and do it. Take one step, take two steps, then help will start coming in and you'll be surprised how the way gets formed. You don't have to see the whole steps.
You don't have to see the whole step. Yes. Just see the first step and Martha Luther.
Yes.
Take the first step and the staircase will automatically.